Hey everybody, welcome back to this random journey. It is Saturday morning, and so I'm just sitting here and I thought I would do this video just a little bit differently today since it's Saturday morning, and I just thought I would do it different. Anyways, I am getting ready to read in my Bible, starting in 2 Kings chapter 6 today, and I'll read 5 chapters in that, and I figure after I get done with the 5 chapters that I will go ahead and give you my thoughts on it then when it's fresh in my mind. And yeah, so I'm going to just sit here and read this. Also, I'll be reading while I'm sitting here, I'll be reading in Hello Fears, and my husband was so nice. I'm sorry the lighting's kind of weird because I got the light behind me, but my husband was so nice, and he's letting me read his book that he's in the process of reading right now, because typically we don't read at the same time of day, so we'll be able to read it at the same time, hopefully. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and so I'm going to be reading at least a couple chapters in that today. It's a 20-chapter book, so I figure if I read 2 chapters a day, I'll get it done in 10 days. So I'm going to delve into that one today as well. So I did find another book. Anyway, so I'm going to get going on reading in my Bible. Okay, all right. You're pitiful. So pitiful. Okay. You're so silly. Trying to read with this little stinker right here. Look at her little paw. Yes, I stop for a second and she gets all worked up. Yeah. Ornery. She's so ornery. You feel good? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Feels good. Ornery. Watch. Watch. Okay. Ornery. Does that feel good? I just finished my Bible reading for today, and there was a couple stories that stuck out to me, and most of this was about Elisha, of course, and the prophet telling people about different things. So there was he had visions, and he told people about visions that he was having. One story that stuck out to me was the story of the Syrians, I believe it was, excuse me, and how they were in a drought within their city, and people was actually encamped outside of their city, just basically making them die within. And there were some lepers outside the city, and they said, well, we can either stay here and die. Even if we go into the city, they're in a drought, so they're going to die, and we would die if we went in there. And or we could go to our enemy's camp and see if they'd have mercy. What's the worst that could happen? They could kill us. Either way, we're going to die. So they went to the enemy's camp and found it empty because the enemy, the Lord had made it to where they heard or thought they heard chariots and people coming to attack them. And so they fled and they left everything the way it was. So fires were still going, food was on the table, clothes still hanging or laying, whatever, however it was back then. Horses still tied up. Everything was just how it was, and they had fled on foot and left their camp open. And it had been prophesied by Elisha that the people within the city that was hurting and was actually, they were eating like horses' heads and stuff. It had been prophesied that they would the next day be selling flour for a whole bunch of money and different things. And so that is what happened, is the lepers decided to go and tell the king of Syria about this camp. And so they went and they told him, and he didn't at first believe them. So he sent just a handful of people out to check it out. And of course, it was true. And the Syrians was able to go in and plunder and take over all the stuff in that, and the prophecy came to pass. So I thought that was a really great story in my Bible reading today. And then the second one was, remember I a couple of days ago said that it had been prophesied by Elisha that Jezebel would be eaten by dogs. Well, that story was told in my reading today in detail, where the eunuchs threw her out of the window. It says she crashed to the ground. Her blood splattered on the walls and on the horses, and the horses trod over her. They walked over her. And then the dogs ate her, all but her palms, her feet, and her skull. Everything else was dispersed everywhere else. So that was a pretty dramatic story that I read today, and of course stuck out. So that's what I read in my Bible. I'm getting ready to read in my next book, which will be Hello Fears. And so I'm going to read that, and I will let you know what I get from that today. Alright guys, I just finished the book Hello Fears by Michelle Poler. I decided to come into the bedroom because I wanted to have both my hands, so put the phone on the tripod. This was a great book. I recommend that everybody read this book. I don't know, go to your library if you don't want to use the money to go buy it. Go to your library and see if they have it. If you are dealing with, I don't know, just trying to figure out who you are, trying to overcome fears, trying to be a more courageous person, whatever the case may be, I highly recommend you getting this book and reading it. You will not regret it, I promise. So, we are going to look at the last chapter, chapter 10, and this chapter is called Hello Future. Grow through dirt, rewrite your story. It was a good chapter. It was a really good chapter. It was a great finale to the whole book. There was a couple things that really stuck out to me. I put a little post-it note so I could read this spot to you really quick. It says, "So, I ask you, how are you going to make your life count? How are you going to commemorate that you are alive? You matter. Your life matters. The dent you decide to make in this world matters tremendously. My wish for you is to live your life with purpose." I absolutely loved that. It like really spoke to me personally. Hopefully it speaks to you too. And then it goes on to talk about growing through the dirt. And there was a quote by, I'll probably get the name really wrong because it's, I've never seen this name before. Frida Kahlo. Anyways, it's "Throw dirt at me and watch me bloom." And she started talking about, there's all these things that we come against in our life, whether that be the way you was raised, or where you lived, or just all kinds of things. Childhood things can happen that can make you feel like you're not able to do anything with your life. There can be war, there can be drug issues, there can be health issues, mental issues, just all kinds of different things that can be the dirt in our life that kind of piles up on us. But she said it's really important that we water ourselves because then we can bloom. And she began talking about the steps. She said there's 8 steps to basically watering ourselves. And hold on. Hey guys, don't do that until I'm off, please.
What?
Don't do that until I'm done with my video, please. Okay, thank you. Playing with a drone. So she talked about the 8 steps that she realized there were in watering ourselves and making sure that we bloom. So I'll go over those 8 steps really quick with you and try to point out anything that really stood out to me. There's just so much in this book that I cannot tell you all the details, but I do encourage you to get the book and read it yourself. 1 is envision your change, and so basically she wanted you to write out, I want to become. And so it's kind of like the last chapter where you have a goal. Well, this is looking at your overall end story. The way I've always kind of pictured it is, what do I want to leave? What kind of legacy do I want to leave for people? What do I want people to remember about me? I want to make an impact. So basically that's what you would write here. What do you want to become? What do you want people to remember? What do you want to leave behind, kind of thing. 2 is help yourself. And so she talked about, so now you know what you want to become. So do everything possible and study and become that person you want to become. So she talked about taking classes, reading books, watching YouTube videos, just delving 100% in to everything that's going to help you become that person that you want to become. So I thought that was really cool about helping yourself. A lot of times we don't think about that, but it's important to help ourselves grow. 3 was define your path. She said at the end, if you could do something for your younger self, what would you do? So she talked about, like, if you could write a book to yourself or write something to yourself to help yourself, what would you have done? And that can help you to know what you want to leave and what you want to leave behind for other people. So define your path. 4, get to work. She said this is another one of those, like, delve in, make sure that you know what your purpose is, what you're wanting, and really dig in and get to work to become that. Shift the focus. She talked about shifting the focus from basically looking at ourselves and looking at who you are and what you have to offer is going to help others. And she likened it to different types of careers. So she talked about, like, a photographer. Instead of thinking, I want to leave behind these beautiful pictures, think about, I want to be able to capture memories for people and the memories that you can capture for them. And then, like a chef, instead of thinking, I want to be the best chef so that I can leave legacy that my food was the best. Instead, think about, I want to see people enjoying my food, and I want to make them happy through my food. So instead of focusing on what you want out of something that you're going to be doing with your life, focus it outward to, how can I make other people get something from this? I thought that was just phenomenal, and I love that concept because is the way I want to leave my legacy. I want to affect other people. And she talked very much about that, about how we need to affect other people with what we do with our lives. 6 is always remember. So she talked about that doesn't matter how successful you get doing whatever it is you decide you want to do, don't forget why you started doing it, who you were in the beginning, the values, the person that you are right now. In the future, when you do become successful and you do get that goal and you do become the person that you want to leave behind, don't forget where you started from. That's really going to just keep you humble, I think. So don't forget, always remember, every single day, remind yourself where you came from. 7, be forgiving. And I think that's so important in every aspect of life, is to, forgive people. Don't hold on to things that's just going to hold you back from everything. Forgiveness is key in life. That's biblical. I believe that 100%. There was a time when I had trouble, a long time ago, when I had trouble forgiving people for things they had done to me and done to people I love. And it took me a long time to realize that if I would just forgive them, forgive the person who had hurt me and my family, that I could have a free life. I'm telling you right now, whenever I forgave that person, it was like a weight was lifted off of me. Forgiveness is freedom. There's no other way to explain it. So if you're having problems forgiving someone, I encourage you to forgive them. I work so hard. Sometimes it's not easy to forgive somebody, especially if they've done horrible damage to you. But I promise forgiveness is the only way you're going to feel free, not only from that person, but from that feeling of heaviness that you get from unforgiveness. So 8 was change your future. We become unstoppable, she says. So we're going to change our future. We're not going to stay the same. We're going to move forward. We are going to become the hero of our own story, as she says. Anyways, she gave us a final exercise. She said to write a letter to your future self, whether that's a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or however long. Talking to yourself, basically, and encouraging yourself, talking to yourself about where you hope to be. That way you can be accountable to yourself in the future. And then she wanted you to seal it and date it for whatever date you want to open it. So yeah, that was basically it. That is this book in a nutshell. Great book. I'm telling you right now, guys, I enjoyed this book so much. I just can't get over how much I actually liked it, especially since it's just one that I bought on a whim, hoping that it would be good. It really was really good. Maybe it will help you as much as it helped me. If you get to read it, I encourage you to do so. So I'm going to be going into the other room and reading in the newest book that I have going, that I'm borrowing from my husband. And I actually reached out to my friend who let me borrow most of the books you guys saw in this video, or in this series of videos. I reached out to her and her husband, and they are planning to bring me another set of books on Sunday. So hopefully we'll have a whole new set of books that I can look through and begin reading this next week. So I'm going to go in there and start on the newest book that I'm going to begin reading. Alright guys, I am back and I have read in my newest book that I'm reading, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I tried something new as I was reading in this book. You guys know I love the takeaway notes at the end of Hello Fears book. So I looked up what mapping looked like and I tried that. So I have my own little takeaway page from the first chapter. I also read the introduction, which I didn't do a little graph thing for that, but I did mark one thing I wanted to read for you guys. He was talking about his story, where he came from. He was a baseball player in high school, and he got hit in the face with a baseball bat, and it was very traumatic. He had to have surgeries and therapy, all kinds of stuff, and he went on to be able to play in college league baseball and all that. And he talked about obviously the main focus is about habits, but he talked about the small habits or the small things that got him to be able to do that. This is what I wanted to read from the introduction for you guys. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results, but with better habits, anything is possible. So I thought that was really great. Moving on to my notes from this first chapter. So I only read one chapter. I said I was going to read two, but after reading the introduction and then reading the first chapter, I'm kind of done reading for the day. It's about 2:30 or so. I haven't had lunch, and so I'm wanting to stop and eat some lunch, and so I'm just gonna probably call it good unless I decide to read maybe another chapter this evening, and I can talk about it tomorrow with you guys. So the title of this chapter was The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits, and talked about the marginal gains that you can get. And it talked about the 1%, and it says searching for a tiny margin of improvement like 1%, and how that can compound interest over time. And if you did just 1% better every day of the year, that you would be 37 times better off than if you stayed idle and didn't improve at all. Or even if you went down 1% every day and didn't improve 1%, then you would actually be not doing well off at all. It says that massive success is not equal to massive action. So everybody thinks that in order to do something grand and great in their life, that they have to make huge leaps and bounds, and they have to do massive things in a row in order to achieve that goal. But it was talking about how it's not about the massive amounts of action, or the massive amounts of action that equals success. It is the small compounds of small changes in your habits that compound over time to be able to get to whatever you're trying to achieve. There was several really great quotes in this chapter that I really liked. One thing was, unfortunately, the slow pace of transformation also makes it easy to let a bad habit slide. I thought that was a great little quote from the book. It talked about what progress really is, and it talked about how it is how habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold. So he explained it like, if you're sitting in a room and it's like freezing cold in there, like 25 degrees, and there's a ice cube like on a plate or what have you, or in a cup or a bowl, whatever, on the plate on the table in front of you, that you can increase the degree one at a time and nothing will change until you reach the point of it not being freezing in the room anymore. So that 1 degree that puts you over that threshold, 32 degrees, that you will finally start seeing the ice start to melt. There will begin to be a change. And he talked about how people can get really frustrated because they don't see any change or anything, but then they look at other people and they see that they're doing and they're changing and they're getting whatever it is, but they haven't seen all the back play to that. And how a lot of times people won't even notice. You might not even notice the change that's happening until you get over that threshold, and then it's like something crazy happens and you're like, whoa, I got past that plateau and now I'm on this new level. And so he said that it can be discouraging, but if you just be consistent with the small changes, that you will see the progress that you're making once you cross those thresholds. And so I thought that was really cool. He talked about how there's the valley of disappointment when you're trying to progress, and how you have to be patient as well. He said it's important to not have goals, but rather have systems. And I thought this was very intriguing. He talked about how goals are results that you want to achieve, and how systems are the process that leads to the results. I just really thought that was a really great way to look at everything, because I'm coming off of just reading the chapter in Hello Fears about setting goals and going after your goals and all this kind of stuff. But she also hinted on the fact that we have to be consistent and we have to have like a system in place to be able to achieve those goals. So this is just kind of hitting that nail on the head for me, that I don't need to so much look at the goal that I'm trying to achieve, but the system that leads up to what results I'm wanting to get out of my life. And then it says the problems when you focus on goals and not enough on systems. And there was 4 different problems. And the first one was winners and losers have the same goals. So I might have the goal of memorizing scripture, but so might Sue Ann, whoever that is, Sue Ann down the road might have the exact same goal of wanting to memorize scripture. However, if we both have the goal, but we don't have a system in place to help us reach that goal or to get the results towards that goal, we will sit idly. So even if you look at other people who are winning and losing, and they both have the same goal, they will not achieve that goal if they don't have a system in place to get to it. So I thought that was really cool. Number 2 was achieving a goal is not a momentary change. So it talked about how once you reach a goal, like if you just focus on goals, you will reach your goal, and then a lot of times you will do what is called the either or. So you will be like, I reached my goal, I don't, I've done this, I'm done with it, I've achieved it. It's momentary. You get the oh, I did it, and then what's next kind of thing. And number 3 was goals restrict your happiness. That was the either or. I'm sorry, the either or. They restrict your happiness. It's either I achieve my goal or I don't achieve my goal and I'm unhappy. It talked about the importance of the system and how you can be in love with the system and not the goal. And the system is basically the progress. And he had like charts in there, like showed like if you started here and you did 1%, it would go up here. A lot of times if we focus on the goal and we can't reach that goal, then we get very unhappy. I think a lot about like weight loss and that kind of stuff. Like we have a goal of losing 10 pounds, and then we lose 5 pounds and we don't reach our 10-pound goal, and we get very frustrated. However, we've lost 5 pounds. So if we are in love with the process of eating healthy, exercising, or doing whatever it is that we are trying to achieve this goal, if we're in love with that process, then eventually we will reach the 10-pound goal, because we've already seen the effect, the 5-pound effect of that system that we have in place. So I thought that was really cool. And then number 4 was goals are at odds with long-term progress. And this is where it talked about the yo-yo effect. And anybody who has done any kind of weight loss, trying to lose weight, that kind of stuff, or he likened it to like a runner. You train really hard, you push yourself, you do all these things in your daily life to be able to run this marathon to get a certain time. You've achieved the goal, you have run the marathon, you have achieved the goal of a certain time, and then you stop training as soon as you have achieved it. And he talked about how you have now reached your goal, and now you're going back down and you're letting bad habits back into your life. And so if you wanted to continue at that level, you would need to continue, or even to get better, you would want to continue in those habits that you had established in order to reach that goal. Same thing with weight loss. A lot of times, I know me personally, and I know several other people that struggle with yo-yo dieting. You hear that all the time. It's where you work really, really, really hard and you lose a whole bunch of weight, or you lose maybe whatever your goal was, and then you start eating, all the stuff you used to eat and not exercising and stuff, and you go back down, or back up, I should say, to the weight that you're not happy with. Or maybe you don't even go all the way back up, but you start going back up. And then you start, oh, I'm going to lose weight, and you lose weight for a while, and it's like that yo-yo. And so I thought that was really interesting and a cool way to look at it. There was a couple other quotes that I liked throughout this chapter. Go ahead and tell those to you really quick. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your system. I thought that was just really good. Actually, I'm going to read it again because I liked it so much. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your system. I just thought that was really great. And then the other one was, habits are like atoms. This is kind of like what the overall picture of this book is going to be about. This was in his closing paragraphs. He says, habits are like atoms of our lives. Each one is a fundamental unit that contributes to your overall improvement. I can already tell I'm going to like this book a lot because it's going right along with all the other things that I've been trying to instill into my life, habits, trying to be more dedicated. Right now I'm trying to memorize scripture. And so as I was reading this, I was in my mind thinking about, because I was feeling a little bit discouraged. I wanted to get to 15 verses memorized yesterday. And I got to 12. And so I was feeling discouraged. I was telling my husband how I was feeling. And he was very encouraging, of course, and told me I was doing great and how proud of me he was. And he then said that I could read this book. And the whole time I was reading this chapter, I was thinking about, okay, I didn't get my goal. My goal was 15 verses for yesterday. But I made an improvement. I was at 8 verses. So I gained 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 5, 5 verses. I gained 5 verses that I learned. And so I have to look at that as that's an improvement. I did my 1% yesterday. And if I can look at that every day and think, okay, if I can just memorize a 1 verse today, that is a 1% improvement. That is a small margin. That is another level up than what I was the day before. And so if I can keep that in my mind and really work towards just the system of memorizing scripture every day and delving into the Word of God, then I'm going to make huge progress over the next year. So I was really encouraged and really got a lot from this first chapter, or this first chapter in this new book that I'm reading. I hope you guys like this video. I know I did it a little bit different than I have been, but anyways, if you did like it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for future videos. Also, if you wouldn't mind sharing this video or any of my other videos that you liked, that would be a huge help for me and my channel to grow. And as always, I will see you again tomorrow.